Well, perhaps it's time to tone it down. And what am I talking about? Well, there's a song that is recorded on an album by Joe Cocker and Mad Dogs and Englishmen. It's a live concert actually in 1970, and it's the deluxe edition. And in that particular album, there's a song that is entitled Further On Up the Road. Now, what's happening in that song? What's happening is this. There's someone in the song who is gloating or perhaps laughing a bit at a particular situation that may sadden others, but not that person. And the song goes on and it says, further on up the road, you're going to hurt somebody, and somebody is going to hurt you. Somebody is going to mistreat you, and in the same way, you will mistreat someone else. And it also talks about that you will reap what you sow. Now, how do I put this into a biblical context? Well, it's very simple, actually, that the Bible warns us about that kind of thing, that, hey, you know what? It's maybe a good idea to look at the beam that's in your own eye, or that before looking at the speck that's in somebody else's, and in that maybe gloat and criticize in a way that's unhealthy, both for that person and yourself. And further, there's situations in the Bible where people have been seen as significantly spiritual and connected with God. King David being one example, where God calls him, look, David, you're the guy that's after my own heart. You have the heart of God in you. And yet even David, with that kind of reputation, he failed badly, even to the point of committing murder. Now, the Bible also warns us, when you think you stand and gloat in your spirituality in the sense of being so virtuous, be very careful lest you fall. And Paul writes at one point, Paul was one of the writers in the New Testament. He wrote most of the New Testament other than the Gospels. And he said at one point, you know what? Walk very circumspectly in your Christian walk so that you don't fall, so you don't falter and trip and disappoint God. Actually, that's the point. And what is circumspectly like? Well, someone has compared it to a goat that's walking on a fence that is 1.5 inches wide, and the goat has such balance and walks with such care that it can actually walk on that 1.5 inches quite comfortably. But very, very carefully. And God tells us, be careful about that as well. So there's a little lesson on how, when you think you have a certain advantage in the way you are living in a spiritual sense, and even in a virtuous sense, be very careful and don't gloat in it, and don't look at others as if, they don't measure up to your standards or your virtue. That is very foolish. And so just a little warning from the Bible, and also from a secular song, further on up the road, you will fail somebody, and somebody is going to fail you. So be careful how you look at that in the present. Now, as Paul Harvey says, for the rest of the story, right after that song in this particular album, the song is, Why Don't We All Get Stoned? Now, I'm not recommending that, but I remember going to Sunday school and going to church services and so on, and after a little bit of a lecture like I just gave you, there'd be this thing about, why don't we all get together and pray? And then, in the meantime, let's all eat a couple of donuts and a couple of cinnamon buns. And I'm wondering if that's maybe where I got my sugar craving from. But we can't blame the church for everything. Just a little lesson for you to hopefully think about and apply as God leads you. God bless you.